So getting the role of Audra kind of happened with happenstance, right? I mean, you talk about in your book, Recipes for Life, that you had gone on an audition and you
Yeah,
didn't
well,
think
it
it
was
was well.
for a movie that they were doing. And I, Paths of Glory or something like that. And so I went in to read for the movie. I met the director, uh, and so Arnold Avon, and we did the reading. And he said, "That's the worst reading I've heard yet." I said, "Oh my God, okay. Well, thank you for having me in." And I got up to leave. And as I approached the door, he said, "Wait, wait, wait, don't leave." He said, "You have a quality that I really like." He said, "I'm going to give you a script that we're going to do. Read it, and in about a half an hour, I'll come in and we'll go over it together." I said, "Are you sure?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." So I took the script and did it, and it was for Big Valley.
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
Were you able to stay in touch with a lot of the cast after the show wrapped?
You know, this is what was difficult without getting into the whole story of my life. I would not have met my first husband had I not done Big Valley, because he saw the pilot for Big Valley and called up the producers and asked if he could photograph me. All right. When I was a teenager and 13 years old, I had a picture of an actor called John Derek over my bed, and Tab Hunter. John Derek called them and wanted to photograph me. So I met him through that. He photographed me. At the time, he was married to Ursula Andres. I thought, I just wanted to meet him because I thought, you know, all those years of just being in love with him, how wonderful to see if he added up to what I thought that he was, and he was more than I thought. Well, it ended up that I married him. Ursula ran away. She was on a film when I met him with Jean-Paul Belmondo, a French actor. She ran off with him when then John called me, and then I married him. But the thing was, John didn't want me to work on Big Valley. He didn't want me to work at all, and asked if I could get out of doing the show. So I went to the producers and I said, "Can I get out of doing the show? I met the man I've loved since I was 13. I would like to be with him." And they said, "Absolutely not. You have a contract, you're going to do it." And I went, "Okay." So it wasn't John's idea of, he didn't want me to work. So they even let me out of some of the shows I was committed to do because he wanted me home with him. So that was the concession they made for me. And so when I went home, it was as if I wasn't even doing the Big Valley. So
Oh,
when it finished, it was not his desire. He was like wanting to take me to Europe, and we went away. So I just didn't really have a chance to have the personal relationship with everybody that I would have liked to have had.
interesting. Interesting stories to hear. Thank you for your transparency on that. I really appreciate that. I know fans that probably means a lot to be able to hear you speak so personally about that.
Well, but it's why I can't say, of course, we did this, we did that, we did the other. We just went to Europe. He's
Yeah,
going to show me the world.
Paris does sound great.
No, of course. Barbara Stanwyck, you know, we kept in touch. It's because then, you know, we had a short period and Dynasty came along. She, as a matter of fact, she was one of my biggest supporters when my marriage to John Derek broke up. And he went away with Bo Derek when she was 15. So, I mean, we had a lot to talk about. She had a lot. She gave me a lot of support at that time.
Sue on Facebook is dying to know. There was a fourth brother named Eugene. She's
Yes,
dying to know what happened to Eugene. Lots of people were asking about Eugene.
Charles Briles, lovely, beautiful young man who I believe went into the Army. I think he got drafted and went into the Army. But you know, what's interesting is Charles Briles called me for years and years and years. Every couple of years, he would call to see how I was, from when I lived in California to moving up here to several different houses up in Washington State. He was beautiful, beautiful young man.
Thank you. Okay, we've got a couple lines of favorites. Lots of people want to know about your favorite episode, outtake, you name it. So I'm going to ask, so do you have a favorite outtake from the series?
Everyone, please be kind. It's 55 years ago. I don't remember all those. I don't remember all those things. I remember once being very amused because I did a show. We did a show where I think I had amnesia or something. I was so shocked from something that I couldn't speak. And somehow Missy and I ended up in the desert wandering around. And she was so funny with me because she would just get frustrated and say, damn it, Audra, say something. She would just have fun with me off camera. And I remember laughing the whole time as I was trying to pretend I couldn't speak. I didn't know I was, but she was a lot of fun, but she just didn't let it be too serious.
Is there a favorite episode that stands out to you?
Oh my goodness.
I'll even take favorite season.
Wow. I tend not to have favorite this and favorite that. There's so many beautiful moments with people, and I don't know. I guess my favorite, I'd have to say my favorite was where she taught me how to have more presence in a scene. She was wonderful. She whenever she felt that it would be of value, she would offer something for me to help me if I was stuck in something or wasn't doing something quite right. And we were doing a scene with Virgil Vogel, who was our director, which we adored. It was like family. He would come like every other week. We would have Virgil. And she said, Audra, when you go in the room this next time, have more presence. I said, okay, presence. Okay. So we did the scene and I came in and did it. And we'd done a few takes and they said, well, let's do it one more time. And I came out and she said, okay. She says, I'm going to give you some help this time. I said, okay. So they said action and we opened the door and I walked in first and she was behind me and she picked up her leg, kicked me in the butt with her boot, and I went flying into the room with my eyes just wide open. And I said my lines and whatever. And she came in and said her lines. And the director said, cut, print, that was great. She said, that's what I mean by presence. It was just such a stunner because she couldn't explain it. She had to show me what that meant by doing that. So I suppose I love that moment.
That's a good moment to keep. Have somebody literally kick you into the room.
That was it.
And it was a winner. Let's see, let's move on. I'm going to jump over and try to get some of the questions that are happening live right now. So for all of you watching, thank you so much. Keep sending your comments in. Chrissy wants to know, what was the most important lesson you learned while on the show?
Well, certainly, Missy was extraordinary in that she said, I'm going to teach you how to be a professional. You show up on time and you know your lines. And that sounds simple and not like the greatest wisdom in the world, except I was so responsible after working with her, after being around her, seeing what it meant to be that kind of person, that in everything that I ever did, I was never late once. I never missed a day shooting. I did The Gambler with Kenny Rogers. And he said to me, the reason you got this part was I checked every actress that I wanted for this part. And you were the most professional. He said, I checked you out because we work 12, 14, 16 hours a day. And he had to know that I would show up and do what I had to do. So, she served me very well. She served me very well professionally.
That's a great mentor.
Well,
great mentor right there, for sure. Let's move into Audra. So you played Audra, and let us know, because Nancy on Facebook is wondering, what did you like about her as a character? She said some other characters you've played may have been more exciting, but what about Audra did you love?
Well, for the 60s, I liked that she was fiery. She had her independent self, and that isn't necessarily what the vibe was, and probably what the 60s was about, was us getting more of that independence, but that she was very independent and didn't necessarily do what her mother told her to do, and had her own opinions, and yet was tenderhearted and loved her family and her brothers, loved them and being protected by them. I liked her very much, and I loved the name Audra. I absolutely adored the name Audra. When I did Dynasty and my name was Crystal, I asked them if they could change it because I said, I don't know, Crystal, I don't know. I just loved Audra so much. She said, no, it's a relative of the writers, so you have to keep it. But Audra was always my favorite name. If I'd had a daughter, I'm sure I would have named her Audra.
Aw. And now people want to know about you on the show and how you looked. Robert had written in and said, how did you stay so beautiful all the time on the show?
Well, let's be honest. When you're in your 20s, everyone looks good in their 20s. I mean, it's a no-brainer. You're 20. How are you not going to look good? You know, we had wonderful makeup people and hairdressers, but when you're young, you have that advantage, and it's beautiful.
And some of your outfits were actually altered from what Barbara had worn on the show, so that you could like dual purpose them and get some more outfits out of those dresses, right?
Well, no, actually, it didn't go that way. Missy wanted me to have some more clothes, and they said, no, we don't have it in the budget. We can't afford it. She says, Victoria Barkley's very rich. How can she not afford having her daughter look really, really great? So she said, okay, we'll just take the things I've worn and Nolan will rework them for her. So she stood up for me many, many, many times. Matter of fact, once, I think in the third year, she said she would not come back to work unless they built me a bathroom on my dressing room, so I didn't have to go out down the hall and use the bathroom with everyone else. I mean, she was beautiful.